Do you guys remember the first time you ever met?
And how'd you guys connect?
How did you guys meet?
You were friends before the band actually formed. What was that kind of process?
Oh man, what was it like when we first met?
Okay, well, it's an interesting story.
It is an interesting story.
That's a good question. It's actually a pretty good story.
Yeah. When we first met, I just gotten this new app called Tinder.
I was working at a fast food restaurant.
I was working at a power plant.
Well, what I did is I came up with a test of yes or no questions.
So I was on eBay.
I was thrown into prison.
We were on a train. Been arrested.
Yeah, we actually met in jail.
Online.
I was introduced to Josh through a mutual friend who I was playing music with at the time. They worked together at Guitar Center.
And I reached out and I saw Josh. And I was like, hey, that looks like a guy that might look like he wants to play music.
And I was working the drive-thru. And this guy comes up and he's just like, yesterday I came through here and I ordered fries, but you guys gave me onion rings. And I was like, listen, dude, at this point I was pretty upset because people just treat you like trash when you work at a fast food restaurant.
And I was the guy that was in charge of making sure all the workers kept on working. So I was kind of like a supervisor, if you will. And then all of a sudden one day, corporate sends in this kind of like a new supervisor. We were supposed to, me and this new supervisor were supposed to kind of like do like a co-headline type thing with the supervising, and it was Josh. And for the first like 3 weeks of the job, I just hated his guts.
And I told Josh that I'd pass this test out to everyone, and whoever scored the highest was going to be in the band. What I didn't tell him is that I only gave him the test.
I was looking for new Matchbox cars.
Matchbox cars,
because
right.
I freaking love them.
There's a lot of love that starts online, by the way.
Yeah,
so
that's true, especially eBay.
The truest
right.
of loves start online these days.
So he's selling like this prime mint condition NASCAR.
Yeah, NASCAR.
Matchbox car that I wanted.
There was one time where I was thrown into prison. Just it was like a short-term prison sentence. I stole something from a grocery store, and I'm put in like my own cell. And right next to that is like this big, huge guy, tattoos all over his body, and then on the other side of him is Tyler. He was thrown in for murder. So he was in for a little while,
and it wrecked, and everybody died except for us.
Match.
MySpace.
He had similar taste in music, and I liked his profile picture.
And so then I was like, let's play music. And so he Tindered me back, and we started a band.
And I was like, dude, listen, I don't have time for this. And then he stopped me and he was like, no, I just want to let you know that like I forgive you. And I was like, wow. Here's a guy who went out of his way to tell me like, hey, you know what? I appreciate what you do, who you are. Onion rings aren't that big of a deal. Yeah. And I was like, do you play music? And he was like, yeah, I play the drums. And then ever since then, we were just like, well, let's start a band.
But then I realized, like, man, you know, he's a cool dude. And I noticed he had really good rhythm. When he walked, he would always walk to the beat of the music that was playing. We'd always be playing music through our halls at our...
Like the power plant?
Power plant. I forgot what the name of what I was doing.
Yeah, the power plant.
And then one day he was... And the day that I knew, like, this is the guy, like, I want to be in a band with for the rest of my life, he was like, dude, let's fire everyone and just get a bunch of hamsters to, like, do their thing.
Cut back on costs. And they're more fun.
Yeah, and they smell great.
Yeah.
Gave him the test, and there were answers. Like, what were some of the questions? You know, like
how many times a day do you fall asleep on your bicycle?
Yeah, yes or no questions.
Yeah.
Yes or no.
And it was yes, I do.
Yeah, yes, you do.
Many times.
And then it's just answers like that. I was like, that's the guy I need in my band.
Yeah.
Guy who falls asleep on his bicycle. Is that what he said, bicycle?
Yeah. How do you fall asleep on your bicycle, by the way?
Pretty easy, actually.
And so I put in a bid, and he said, hey, I'm really sorry.
You didn't even come close.
Yeah, that's not what I was looking for.
Yeah.
But if we meet up at a Dairy Queen,
yeah,
I'll get you the Matchbox.
Yeah,
car.
that's what it was.
If you buy me Dairy Queen,
those
you
were
wanted
the
Coney.
stipulations.
So yeah, I showed up, and what did you say when I got there?
And I was like, "Here's Matchbox car, but let's start a band instead." And so I threw the Matchbox car away, and we started a band.
And anyway, this guy in between us noticed that I was like hitting stuff on the walls, and he's kind of like playing the piano on the walls. It doesn't make a lot of sense. But he's like, "Hey, you guys should meet and like be in a band." He didn't sing ever. He's a great singer, but he mostly did air piano.
You can't sing in prison.
No. So he introduced us, and we became great friends, and we decided that we should definitely start a band. It started out as like an air band because you can't have instruments.
Not really a lot of electricity in your cell either.
No, yeah, there's not a ton of electricity. Definitely no pianos.
We thought, wow, hey, I'm Tyler. He said, I'm Josh. He said, I play the drums. I was like, let's start a band.
About a year after that, things fell into place where I gave him a call. I was like, hey man, you wanna play? They wanna be in the band? Because I was playing with another guy at the time, and the project wasn't really where it is now. And then Josh came on, and we put in some solid work for about a year and a half, and then things started picking up after that.
Most of our songs are written about that experience.
It was a weird first date.
So then most of our songs are about that time in our life.
Most of these songs that we wrote were about that meeting at Dairy Queen.
Yeah, and most of the songs that you hear us play are about prison, actually.
The hard life.
Pretty much every song that we've written so far has been about how we met.